work into a terminal and getting a full-fledged app by lunchtime danced in the minds of executives. Developers found themselves staring at functional but inscrutable code, unable to explain its why. The technical debt explosion. The AI was a prolific but sloppy coder. It produced software that lacked consistency, coherent architecture, or any consideration for future scale. It would solve the immediate prompt but create a key to modify tomorrow. The future maintenance costs were astronomical and undocumented. The promise arrives. The hype was deafening. A new wave of generative AI, trained on billions of lines of public code, could translate natural language into functional code snippets. Headlines screamed that software engineering was on the brink of automation. Visions of managers typing, "Build me a social network," into a terminal and getting a full-fledged app by lunchtime danced in the minds of executives. Early fear. The initial demos were unnervingly good. Developers watched as AI tools autocomplete entire functions, wrote boilerplate API endpoints in seconds, and suggested fixes for common bugs. A cold wave of anxiety washed over the industry. Was a decade of learning intricate syntax and design patterns about to become obsolete? It felt like watching a very smart, very fast apprentice who never slept. He first experiments. Fueled by hype and cost-cutting dreams, some ventures took the plunge. They gave AI models broad prompts to create a travel booking app or build a customer dashboard. The initial output was stunning: working buttons, clean forms, responsive layouts. The prototypes looked polished. The triumph, however, was short-lived. The black box problem. When the AI-generated code worked, it was magical. But when it failed, which it inevitably did with complex logic, debugging became a descent into madness. The code was often strange, using non-standard patterns or odd variable names. Since no human had designed the logic, there was no mental model to debug against. Developers found themselves staring at functional but inscrutable code, unable to explain its why. The technical debt explosion. The AI was a prolific but sloppy coder. It produced software that lacked consistency, coherent architecture, or any consideration for future scale. It would solve the immediate prompt but create a tangled web of dependencies. Companies soon realized they were building a Frankenstein's monster of an app. One that worked today but would be horrifically expensive and risky to modify tomorrow. The future maintenance costs were astronomical. The missing why. This was the fundamental flaw. AI could assemble code that matched a request, but it had zero understanding of the intent behind the software. Why was this feature needed? What user pain point did it solve? What were the ethical implications of this data model? It couldn't navigate trade-offs between speed and scalability, or make a judgment call based on shifting business goals. It wrote syntax, not solutions. The integration wall. Greenfield projects were one thing, but the real world runs on legacy systems, decades-old databases, quirky internal APIs, and undocumented tribal knowledge infrastructure. AI, trained on public repositories, was utterly lost when asked to connect new code to these unique, proprietary environments. It couldn't ask the senior dev about that one weird server quirk. The creativity gap. While AI excelled at reassembling common patterns, it failed at genuine invention. It couldn't conceive a novel algorithm, design an elegantly simple architecture for a complex problem, or create a user experience that was both intuitive and delightful. True innovation requires leaps of intuition, cross-pollination from other fields, and a deep understanding of human emotion, all uniquely human domains. The rise of the AI assistant. This was the turning point. A pragmatic developer, frustrated with writing yet another standard API CRUD function, used an AI to draft it. Then they edited it. They refined it. They made it theirs. The aha moment spread. This wasn't a replacement. It was the most powerful autocomplete ever invented. Tools like GitHub Copilot became the new normal, a tireless junior partner handling the mundane. Productivity soars, but complexity remains. With AI handling boilerplate, debugging simple errors, and writing test cases, developer productivity skyrocketed. But this didn't eliminate work, it shifted it. Developers now spent their cognitive capital on higher-order problems. designing better systems, untangling complex business logic, and making strategic decisions that AI was ill-equipped to handle. The demand for AI whisperers. A new skill set became invaluable. The best developers were no longer just coders, they were AI whisperers. They mastered the art of the prompt, crafting precise, iterative instructions to guide the AI to a better output. Their critical eye could instantly spot a hallucinated library or a subtly flawed logic chain in the AI's suggestion. The system thinking deficit. Code doesn't exist in a vacuum. It lives within a vast ecosystem. Servers, load balancers, security protocols, network latencies, and user behavior. AI could write a function, but it couldn't understand how that function would behave under production load, or how it might become a security vulnerability, or how it fit into the company's broader technical strategy. The endless nuance of edge cases. The real world is messy. Software must handle unexpected user inputs, hardware failures, network timeouts, and bizarre one-in-a-million scenarios. AI, trained on common patterns, often fails catastrophically at these edges. Human developers, with their experience and sometimes irrational paranoia, are essential for anticipating and gracefully handling the chaos of reality. The trust and accountability crisis. A critical question arose. Who is responsible when AI-generated code fails, leaks data, or exhibits bias? The courts, clients, and society demand an accountable human. A company cannot blame the algorithm. A human developer must sign off, must review, and must ultimately be the guarantor of the software's integrity and safety. The shift from coder to architect and orchestrator. The developer's role evolved dramatically. They became less like scribes writing every line, and more like architects drawing blueprints and conductors leading an orchestra. Their job was to define the high-level structure, validate the AI's contributions, integrate components, and make the crucial judgment calls that determine a project's success or failure. The toolchain integration. AI ceased to be a mythical other, and became just another tool in the developer's belt, seamlessly integrated into the IDE. It joined the ranks of linters, debuggers, and version control, a powerful utility to be commanded, not a colleague to be debated. The realization, its amplification, not replacement. The industry collectively sighed and understood the truth. AI is a force multiplier. It amplifies the power of a skilled developer, much like the hydraulic excavator amplified the power of a construction worker. It doesn't replace the need for the operator's skill, judgment, and purpose. It makes them radically more effective. The job market adapts. Demand for developers didn't shrink, it grew and transformed. Entry-level tasks were automated, raising the bar. The market now craved developers with strong fundamentals, system design skills, problem-solving intuition, and the ability to collaborate effectively with AI. The job became more intellectually demanding and more valuable. A new symbiosis. The most effective engineering teams achieved a powerful symbiosis. Humans provided the vision, creativity, oversight, and ethical compass. AI provided the raw speed, infinite memory for APIs and syntax, and tireless execution of repetitive tasks. Together, they formed a partnership greater than the sum of its parts. The lesson learned. History repeated itself. Just as compilers didn't replace assembly programmers, but moved them higher up the stack, AI hasn't replaced developers. It has automated the task of writing code, elevating the craft to the work of designing and reasoning about systems. The future belongs not to AI, nor to developers who ignore it, but to the developers who are intelligent and adaptable enough to wield it masterfully.